we're going to dig in a little bit to what's going on in some of the outer markets, the suburban markets surrounding Manhattan. As most of you know, Focus Real Estate, we sell in Manhattan, on Long Island, in New Jersey. And today, my guest is actually our partner on Long Island, Matt Lehner. And he specializes in the Long Island market and is going to, get us updated on what's going on there. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in New Jersey for this week. So, Matt, what are you seeing out there?
So it's interesting. Right now in Long Island, we have very little inventory. We have a ton of buyers. We listed something yesterday morning, and we already have multiple offers over ask. We're getting constant text messages and emails and phone calls from our buyers in the boroughs, like, find us a house right away. And as we all know, because of the pandemic, showing homes is a challenge. So we're being creative around that. And just finding inventory now is definitely a challenge.
Got it. So you mentioned inventory being an issue. Now, is that because people don't want to, leave their homes, move somewhere else, I should say, in order to be able to sell theirs? What are you seeing from that perspective?
It's a combination of a few things. One, you have people who don't want strangers in their homes, which I totally appreciate and I understand. But two, these people don't feel comfortable going to look at homes, or they don't want to deal with the move right now. So they rather just wait till this is over before they list the home, despite being encouraged by myself to, maybe we can capitalize on the market. We should list it right away.
Got it. So it's a really important distinction to make that that in the state of New York, the way that a property can be shown is significantly different and a bit more challenging than the way it'll work, in New Jersey. In New Jersey, you can still show a home with the traditional method of an agent meeting the client at the home, taking them through. In New York, obviously you're taking precaution and mask and gloves and booties and shoes off and sanitizer. In New York, it's a little different. Matt, do you want to touch on what that looks like for you on Long Island?
So in New York, if somebody wants to see a home, we put the buyer and seller in touch with each other, and they coordinate the showing. So as an agent, we can't be there, and the seller and the buyer figure out how they're going to go about, showing the property.
Interesting. In following up with what you were talking about on Long Island about the lack of inventory, where I am in New Jersey and we're in Monmouth County, there's the activity is just tremendous. And it really has picked up in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think there was a bit of trepidation when things first started with the pandemic and what was happening. And I think now, you're seeing like a confluence of people wanting to leave Manhattan. True, that's happening. I think you're seeing that because of that, there's a lot more urgency here for people that were already going to make a move to make that move now. With the summertime coming and the spring market, it's very, very active. Things are on the market and coming off the market in days.
What's interesting is of everyone who came to see our listing yesterday, every single person was from the boroughs.
Really?
Yep. There were no people from Long Island looking to upgrade or looking to move. They were all people who pretty much said on the phone or via text, we need to get out of the boroughs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I recently put something at the contract in Summit in New Jersey. Same thing. People lived in the East Village and they're looking to make a move. So if there's going to be people that want to get out of Manhattan, let's say, or Brooklyn or wherever it might be, and looking to go to these boroughs, how do you get in front of them? How do you speak to them?
In terms of showing them a home, or just speaking to them in general, or?
Yeah, just, if you're marketing a listing in Plainview or Roslyn, how are you getting the New York City buyer to your home?
We're getting creative. First and foremost, they get the pictures, they get the floor plan. We have virtual tours for all the listings. And then if there's real interest after that, we follow state guidelines. We arrange with the seller and the buyer to speak so they can get into the house. Because, being realistic, no one's making this decision without going into a property.
Right. Yeah, no, fair enough. And I know, we've been a bit more active, on our social channels and speaking to the people that we know out there, about what it is that we're doing in these other markets. And, it's certainly helpful in getting people to see things. So what do you see happening over the next, few months as we head into the summer, back into the fall with properties and sales on the island?
I see a flurry of activity. I think they're going to be, as we discussed, a ton of buyers. And I think we're going to have a tremendous amount of sellers. You have people, especially in the areas we concentrate, where they have a second home in Florida, a second home in North Carolina, and they realize they don't need to hold on to both. And now's the time to sell the New York home. You have people who sadly are going to have to sell because of the economy and their financial circumstance have changed. And a lot of people looking to just switch neighborhoods, different schools, and the other reasons people sell.
Yeah, no, understood. So what would you tell a buyer and then a seller that's looking to make a move in the real estate market right now?
Well, it's interesting. I was on the phone with a buyer before this little chat we're having, and I was telling her, like, listen, you better be ready to pounce on something because there's going to be a lot of competition for homes. And I was telling her about our listing from yesterday, and she was like, oh, she was all discouraged. And luckily for her, she's in a good place. She has nothing to sell. She's not renting. She can pounce on something, but there is going to be that added, competition going after things. So if I'm speaking to a buyer, it's make sure you have all your pre-approvals, make sure you're ready to go, make sure you can act quickly. Typically, New York City deals happen very quickly. Deals go into contract within a day. In Long Island, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and that's going to get sped up tremendously.
Yeah. In Manhattan, what's funny, and I touched on this the last couple of weeks that we've been talking about this. In Manhattan, it was actually a lot longer, and it's been a buyer's market for a little while. And then we started really coming out of it in January and February, and then this hit, and it's going to be curious to see what's going to happen over the next few months in Manhattan specifically. I do think there's going to be a lot of inventory that's going to come on the market, and how that affects buyers, will be interesting to follow. In New Jersey, again, it's things are coming off the market very quickly. If it's a well-priced home, it's selling fast. We're about to list a 6,000-foot home in Marlborough, New Jersey, and we're very, very encouraged by just the early signs, even since putting a sign in the ground and not having it listed yet of what's going to happen. Okay, so you mentioned what you would tell a buyer. What would you tell a seller?
Get your house ready and let's list it right away. We need to, like I said, we need inventory. So if there's a seller thinking of selling, now is the time to sell. Plenty of buyers are out there. We're following all the regulations in terms of taking pictures and the showings. And, there are plenty of people willing to put in very good offers for homes right now.
Okay. And you mentioned actually, something about people looking to be in other parts of the world, right? They went to a bigger home, or they went to a spot where they can escape to during all this. So those people now, they don't want to come back here, hypothetically. And they're like, Matt, sell my home. How do you handle that? Like, don't they're going to have stuff at the home, they're going to have to move out. Like, how do you reconcile that?
So 2 ways. One, if someone's in Florida and they have their stuff here, they'll fly back for a weekend once we have a deal, and they'll pack up what they're going to take, and then they're going to throw out everything else or have an estate sale to get rid of everything else. If they don't want to come back, we can coordinate everything. We have movers, we have estate people, and we can coordinate everything so they never have to come back.
Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad we could get some chatter going about what's going on in the outer markets. Focus Real Estate. You have anything specific that you guys want to chat about? Feel free to email us at info@focusreg.com, or check us out at FocusReg on our social channels. Until next week, thanks, guys.
See you later.